It's breathtaking. When you see sand here, imagine water. If you dive in, you can't reach the bottom.
You dive in?
Yes, it's called swimming.
I don't believe you.
So Warner Brothers has released Dune Part 2 onto streaming platforms already. Has Dune 2 come off of the cinema? Nope. Should you be seeing it on streaming first? Nope. So this is what we're talking about today. This desire for these big studios like Warner Brothers to rush things out onto streaming platforms super quick, and in this case, while the film is still on at the cinema, performing really well. I mean, it's already close to $700 million as we speak, which makes it Denis Villeneuve's most successful film to date and the most successful film of the year so far. So why are they doing this? Well, I mean, the film's had a lot of delays. It was initially earmarked to be released in November 2023, a more traditional time of year to release a blockbuster. If it's not in the summer, you get closer to Christmas. So then again, it was delayed and it had a spring release, which is kind of weird for a movie of this kind of caliber. I don't know if they did it because there was literally nothing else being, no other tentpole kind of blockbuster being released at this point. So they thought, we'll get in there with no competition. But it's been a huge success, and a lot of it through word of mouth more than anything. It's one of the reasons, I mean, Nolan walked away from Warner Brothers in the first place was the whole debacle around Tenet when it was released, that they wanted to go onto streaming, and admittedly that was during COVID where nothing was going to the big screen, so obviously people didn't have a choice, but it was at the end of that, so that was the kind of revival to get people back into the cinema. But Warner Brothers were being stubborn. They stuck their heels in, and he walked away. Now, traditionally, we've always had films having a gap and then going on to, DVD, Blu-ray, a few months after the initial release. And so the initial kind of excitement and word of mouth has spread enough where it all simmers down, and then everyone's looking forward to purchasing it so they can watch it on their home cinema or just their regular TV. And for whatever reason, it seems that the industry has now zero patience or trust in the audience anymore, and it seems to want instant results and instant financial reward. It needs to squeeze this product as hard as it possibly can and in as many ways as it can, because it thinks that, I don't know, people will forget the film existed if it's not released within 10 minutes of the film being on the cinema. But people aren't dumb. This film needs to be seen on the biggest screen possible, first and foremost, not on a tablet or a smartphone or your home cinema. And it doesn't make a difference how good your home cinema is. And trust me, I have a fantastic home cinema, and it's still not even close to the IMAX experience. So this is what this whole video is about, really, is this thing where we've made this huge effort to get people back into the cinema, myself included, who was the biggest cinema nut you could have met. I had a subscription. I was always at the cinema, probably a couple of times, 3 times a month at least, all the way up until probably 7 years ago. And then for whatever reason, it was obviously we had COVID and other issues happening with the lack of quality releases. And so that started to dwindle. And post-COVID, you would think now that this huge rush with these tentpole movies, the Oppenheimer and Barbie coming out last year, which seemed to kind of create a good buzz around the cinema experience again, and it genuinely did get people back into the cinemas, that this thing where we seem to have to push this streaming side of things, which is, let's be frank, a diluted version of what the movie-going experience is. It really is. And whatever your view is on the whole cinematic experience, I know people get annoyed with people on their phones and, the cost of cinema tickets, which has risen sharply over the years, and there's no two ways about that. But for certain movies, especially films like this from your Nolans and your Denis Villeneuves, which are very grand of scale, they need to be watched on a very, very, very large screen, an IMAX especially. And I think the studio should be pushing that more instead of kind of race their products onto the small screen. Because if you watch this on small screen first, you will so regret it, because I came out of the second viewing of this film so happy that I'd come back and seen it again. That warm feeling, that indescribable feeling you get when you go to a movie that you know is going to stay with you, it doesn't happen the same way when you watch it on the small screen. It just doesn't happen that way. So I think we need to go back to having a bigger gap between a film's big initial release and its run, which is normally kind of a couple of months, 3 months max, and then we need to have that gap where then it comes out onto your streaming and you can buy the physical media, etc. Because I don't think we're going to get people back into the cinema in the numbers that the studios want us to if they carry on in this way. I know some people really want to watch this on streaming now. They haven't gone to the cinema and they've thought, no, I'm going to wait till it comes onto streaming. I'm not going to the cinema. It's as good at home. I'm telling you now, I implore you, give this a go at IMAX if you still can. And I know it is still showing at certain IMAX theatres. You will not regret it. And this is the reason that I want to go back to regularly going to the cinema again. Films like this have made me feel like that way, and I'm really, really happy to have had my mind changed and that cinema isn't dead. Now let me know what you think about your cinema experience of IMAX and Dune, and whether you're starting to go again, and whether you think that it shouldn't be streamed this quickly. Let me know in your comments down below, and I'll catch you in the next one.